knowing what you know now about the military, having been in it so long, has it like, do you want your kids to be in the military at some point? Like, has it changed the way you saw that?
It's a tough question. That's actually
Right?
my least favorite question.
I'm sorry. It was just
no, you're good. No, I
Good
get asked all
job.
the
I think
time.
that's a great question.
I grew up at a military base, and I looked up. I was raised by cadets mostly.
Yeah.
You know, my parents were coaches, and someone asked me this question the other day, and I was like, I go back and forth.
Yeah, no,
As it is now, I'm like a no.
Right, yeah.
But there's so many pros to having been in it, I'm sure. So
See, for me, it was all I ever wanted to do. It was
Right.
like, I mean, so I highly recommend for people that they have that dream, you got to chase your dream.
Yep.
The military is there's still good parts of it. You just got to be very deliberate. However, right now with the Biden administration, I have told people like right now, if my kids were 18, I would say just go do something else.
Yeah.
It's not going to go anywhere.
Wait.
Let's get Biden out of office
Right.
and then go back in. The way that when Biden came in and he basically said we need to have an extremist stand down because half these people that I've been sending off the war for my entire career. I mean, Biden's voted for every single war as long as he's been in office. He just comes in day one as commander in chief is like, and it turns out half of you guys are Nazis, you know,
Right.
and then the vax mandate,
Right.
you know, and then the nonsense in Afghanistan.
That's what scares me.
It's just such a disgrace. And then him putting in all the different, diversity, equity, and inclusion czars
Right.
at every level.
like I've seen the decay of even the military academy.
Yeah,
you know,
I'm sure.
over the years, and how my parents have been coaches, seeing
Yeah.
what they're teaching crazy stuff at that school, which is baffling to me. Right.
Yeah.
At West Point, right?
At West Point. But then I also look at it, when someone asked me that question, I was like, well, you learn discipline, right? I looked up to these kids, growing up, these young soldiers, and they had a discipline and a work ethic that I didn't see anywhere else, right? Outside of that place.
Yeah.
So that's the pro I saw.
My brother enlisted when he was the summer he turned 18. He'd still to finish senior of high school. But
Right.
what he said at the time was like, I am not going to make it in college. I don't want to go. I'm going to fail out. I'm not interested in being there.
Right.
And I want to be somewhere where I feel like I'm learning skills and developing as a person. And he enlisted in the Marine Corps, and it really did change his whole life. I think for the best. He did ultimately feel like he was getting passed by people who had gone to college and didn't keep going. But it is an interesting question because in today's day and age, I remember at the time, the conversation in our house was like, well, don't deploy. We don't want you to deploy to Afghanistan, which he ultimately did. But if you were going to, if we're going to invade Mexico and defend the southern border, maybe that would be a worthy cause.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Which we weren't going to do. But I think it's an interesting question because military recruitment is down.
way
People
down,
don't want to be in the military.
Yeah.
I've always wondered if that is part of the progressive culture's anti-military sentiment. And I see it so often where, especially young liberal women are like, I don't respect the military. And I get it. There's a lot of issues and it's complicated, but it seems bizarre to have a blanket statement like that, especially when it comes from what to me is a classist perspective. They're saying that basically they look down on you because they think they're smarter than you are,
100%.
which is sort of crazy.
Oh, it's really
Yeah,
crazy.
and we're having a crisis now of recruiting because like that same pool of like young patriotic Americans who want to go forth and fight for their country, they right now are saying like, wait a sec, these are the same people that look down on me, that talk down to me, that are doing everything they can to destroy our culture and our way of life. Like, how about no? How about I'm not gonna enlist? And you're getting generational military families that are telling their kids like, maybe wait, maybe don't go in right now. And that's and they wonder why, like, oh, why is recruiting down so much? And then a big issue too that doesn't get covered as much as recruiting is retention. I mean, the military runs on professionals. Our military now, because we don't have a draft, it runs on professional soldiers. And the vast majority of guys I knew who were going to stay into 20, 25 years, right when Biden came in, after about a year, they were like, I'm done. So, as soon as I can get my retirement or as soon as I can see a window for me getting the heck out of here, I'm gone. And that's experienced senior special operations guys. Same thing with my friends that are pilots. I mean, the crazy thing is Biden inherited the most battle-hardened military that we've ever had, because every other war we fought up to the global war on terror, we had to have a draft and then we had to like demobilize it at the end of the war. We had the same, like I did 11 combat deployments. I don't know very many people that did just like one or two. We had a group that went over consistently, and Biden inherited that. And he is in just 3 years, not even 3 full years, he has gutted that.
Yeah. What I'd always read about military recruitment, I knew the thing about professional soldiers because already it's a narrow path. People leave more often than ever. But in terms of new recruits, very few young Americans are qualified to join the military. And so the like 10% of people who are, half of them are willing to do it. So we are never going to make any recruitment goals. But I found it interesting that, the Marine Corps does tend to make its recruitment goals. Branches of the military with a strong identity and set of core values, in my anecdotal observation, tend to be the ones that are successful. And I think that speaks to this desire to have culture and community, that I think really progressive culture doesn't have. We're talking about this a little bit. I'd asked you earlier, are there two sets of values? And to me, one of the core tenets of being conservative is building these blocks of community at the family level, and then your local community, and then it goes up from there. Whereas a lot of progressive energy is devoted to pursuing individual and basically selfish desire.